After B-2 Spirit bombers strike Yemen on October 16, 2024, now its B-52 bombers turn to spy on Iran. The United States has recently shifted its strategic military focus in the Middle East. After deploying B-2 Spirit stealth bombers in operations over Yemen, attention is now turned to the B-52 Stratofortress, a long-range strategic bomber, as it begins a reconnaissance mission aimed at Iran. The development reflects growing concerns in the U.S. about Iran's activities, particularly its nuclear program and regional influence. The B-2 Spirit, known for its advanced stealth capabilities, is designed for high-risk targeted strikes. Its deployment to Yemen represents an escalation in military engagement, likely targeting high-value assets or strategic locations. In contrast, the B-52, while less stealthy, has a long range and payload capacity, making it ideal for patrols and intelligence-gathering operations. The bomber can carry advanced surveillance equipment, allowing it to collect critical data while maintaining a safe distance. The United States recently deployed B-52 bombers to the Middle East, a move signaling heightened concern over escalating tensions between Israel and Iran. This decision has profound implications affecting regional stability, international relations, and the strategic calculations of key players in the Middle East. The implications of U.S. deploying B-52 bombers to the Middle East as Israel-Iran tensions escalate. For decades, Israel and Iran have been entangled in a complex rivalry driven by ideological, political, and security concerns. Israel sees Iran's nuclear ambitions and support for proxy groups like Hezbollah as existential threats, while Iran views Israel's close alignment with the U.S. and Western powers as a direct threat to its sovereignty and influence in the region. The recent intensification in hostilities, including exchanges of missile strikes and rhetoric, has prompted the U.S. to act, showcasing its commitment to regional allies and maintaining a balance of power. B-52 bombers, a great power for Israel. The B-52 bomber is a powerful long-range aircraft capable of delivering large payloads over vast distances. Deployed strategically, these bombers signal that the U.S. is prepared to support Israel and its allies as well as deter potential aggression. The presence of B-52 sends a strong message, not only to Iran but to other regional actors, that the U.S. is ready to defend its interests and prevent any destabilizing actions. The deployment also indicates that the U.S. is not only passively observing the rising tensions but actively prepared to intervene if necessary. This show of force may serve as a deterrent to Iran, discouraging it from taking aggressive actions that could further inflame regional conflict. Implications for regional stability. The Middle East is a region with long-standing alliances and rivalries, and actions by major powers like the U.S. can ripple through local and regional politics. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Egypt are closely monitoring the U.S. response, as they have vested interests in containing Iran's influence. Conversely, Iran's allies such as Syria and Hezbollah may perceive the B-52 deployment as an escalation, potentially prompting them to strengthen their own defenses or countermeasures. The deployment raises questions about the broader implications for peace efforts and diplomacy. Some analysts warn that increased U.S. military presence could lead to miscalculations, where a small skirmish could escalate into broader conflict. On the other hand, proponents argue that a strong U.S. stance might push Iran toward negotiation, preventing a crisis from spiraling out of control. Global diplomatic repercussions. The deployment of B-52 bombers adds another layer to the strained diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Iran, which have deteriorated significantly since the U.S. withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal in 2018. Many European allies of the U.S. have urged restraint, fearing that a militarized response may derail ongoing diplomatic efforts aimed at reviving the nuclear deal and stabilizing relations with Iran. This situation could also influence the broader U.S.-China and U.S.-Russia dynamics. Both China and Russia have expanded their influence in the Middle East, often aligning with Iranian interests to counterbalance the U.S. The B-52 deployment may lead China and Russia to bolster support for Iran, possibly resulting in intensified global polarization and making multilateral diplomacy more challenging. Future scenarios and strategic calculations. The B-52 deployment, while largely symbolic, poses several possible future scenarios. If tensions continue to escalate, the U.S. may increase its military presence, potentially deploying additional assets such as naval carriers or advanced air defense systems. Conversely, if diplomatic channels are prioritized and effective, the show of force could lead to a de-escalation where both sides move toward negotiations rather than confrontation. The Middle East's future stability hinges on several variables, including the responses of regional actors, international diplomatic efforts, and the domestic pressures within both the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. administration will need to carefully balance its commitment to allies with the broader goal of avoiding a major conflict that could disrupt the global economy and destabilize the region further. The deployment of B-52 bombers by the U.S. amid rising Israel-Iran tensions has significant implications. It signals strong U.S. support for Israel and serves as a warning to Iran, aiming to deter any further escalation. However, this move is fraught with potential risks, as it could incite counter-responses from Iran and its allies, affecting regional and global diplomatic efforts. The coming months will be critical, as the world watches to see if the U.S. and regional players can navigate these heightened tensions toward a peaceful resolution.